afternoon, folks. It seems today it will be a compost day, so I decided to make a video about it. What we have here is our third bin of our 3-bin system, and I advise you to take a look at my previous compost video where I describe our system and our rotation routine and how we actually do the compost and how we take care of it and how we use it. I won't be getting into much detail about that because it was already covered in another video, but as we're having now proper July weather, which means at least 4 or 5 weeks with no rain and above 30 degrees sunny and hot weather, it's a good time to process and sieve the compost bin, which is now ready. So last summer we sieved and used the first bin of compost, and then we started filling it up again, and this spring we did the second bin, this one, which has been scraped clean. All the compost has been used in the planting season for seed starting. We have maybe just about maybe 50 liters of it left for next year's seed starting. It's fine received, and I've already prepared this bin for the next batch of compost by putting a layer of coarse vegetation, those woody stems of the wild sour cherries that grow here. I just chopped them up with the leaves and everything, so they will provide like a drainage layer at the bottom. And what I put on top of that is the top layer of the currently cooking, it's now already done, but the oldest compost, because that works as a starter. When we are done with the compost bin and we want to stop piling new material on top, we do a coarse cover, which we call a cap. So we cap the compost with coarse stems, those cosmos flowers, corn stalks, there are some tomato stems, etc., which is maybe 20 or 30 centimeters layer on the top of the pile, which at the time of capping it was like a small mount on top of those between those pallets. So in effect it becomes a sort of a thatch roof where the vegetation diverts most of the water away, but still some percolates, so it's not impermeable. It allows a limited amount of water, and it also allows breathing of the compost. It's not a solid cover, and it allows the microorganisms in the compost to work as close to the surface of the material as possible. And then this works great for us because the same material will be put at the bottom of the new bin, the one which we will start using soon. So it will not only provide drainage and needed carbonaceous material, but it will also seed the compost with microorganisms. I will roughly fork the whole pile, and some of the ready compost will also be making its way here. So I'm just using a regular drilling fork and just slightly mixing the top layer. You can see it's not much left, and this just goes to the bottom of the second bin, which is now empty. and beneath that top layer you can see the now ready compost, and this here has no soil added to it. So this is all decomposed garden and kitchen scraps, and even though it was capped, and I even kept it under a plastic cover for part of the winter, you can see that it's still very moist. So I have to remove all the capping and allow it a couple of weeks to dry out before I can sieve it. So that will be the end of the video. I have moved all the coarse capping in the second bin with some of the top layer from the now ready compost. We can start piling here, or we can wait for a couple of months till the autumn large flush of garden scraps, which we usually start new compost with. And this one is still moist, but in a couple of days, maybe a week at the most, it will be dry enough to be sieved with the rough sieve. And you can see it still has twigs and other woody debris, which are the leftovers from the stuff we use for aerating the pile, as this compost is never turned, so it relies on internal structure for aeration. And this is the material which we're getting. I estimate we have about 300 liters before sieving, and maybe we'll get about 100 of the rough fraction, which will go towards mulching our fruit bushes. And the sieved fraction, it will be bagged and we will store it under cover to be used next year. By that time the first bin will be already capped. This will happen maybe in a month or so, and we'll be using this bin, and this one will be scraped clean and prepared to start using it next year at some point.